we'll start going into some questions. How about that?
Perfect.
Awesome. So Serge asks, how often do you optimize your campaigns manually and with templates? So I'll let
Okay.
you give your advice there.
Yeah, good question. So when it comes to optimizing campaigns, I mean, a big part of that is going to be bid adjustment, right? I mean, there's other optimization you could do with budgets and changing around keywords and stuff like that. But for bid adjustment specifically, that's happening every single hour. We do day parting with our campaigns. So we have our own proprietary software that does this automatically. I don't think that you could do this manually. But my advice, as far as if you don't have a software, you're not using a software, and you are using either just manual adjustments or bulk uploads, I still recommend that you would want to adjust your bids ideally every single day and every couple of days if that's not feasible for you, if you're kind of a, one-man band.
Got it. So every couple of days, you
Every
suggest?
couple of days, yeah, if you are just trying to kind of run things yourself, but ideally you'd want to be using a software, something that could do day parting for you. You're just able to get so much more efficiency out of those bids when you do utilize Amazon's hourly data. And of course it depends on your specific product, but really if you have the data, you should be utilizing that hourly data if possible. And now if you're asking not specifically just bid optimizations, but keywords and that kind of thing, and what we call harvesting to kind of fit with that farming analogy. So you'll have your keyword discovery campaigns, of course, and then whatever has been discovered from those campaigns, we then harvest those into performance campaigns. So really, most of the time that looks like going from either a broader auto or category targeting campaign and then over to an exact match or exact match product targeting type of a campaign. And that we do that every single day, when there's something to harvest, which we base on conversions. If a term had a conversion, we'll go ahead and harvest that out. And we do that every single day. But again, if you aren't utilizing a software and you do have a lot of ACoS and a lot of terms, that can not always be possible. So I would recommend doing that also at least every couple of days, minimum every week, I would say, in order to kind of get as much juice out of those as possible.
Okay. Now, here's a follow-up question. So, and this might be controversial.
Yes.
So, when you move them from a harvest campaign into a performance campaign, trying to use the same terminology, are you negating them in the harvest campaign, or are you leaving them there too?
Yeah, so this is controversial. I actually just had a debate over on that Amazon Ads podcast with Mina Elias. He was on the other side, and I'm a proponent of yes, you should negate, because the whole purpose of those farming campaigns that we harvest from is to discover keywords. And once you've discovered it, you don't need to keep spending money to discover it. And the reason that those campaigns tend to not be as efficient, generally higher ACoSs and that kind of thing, is because you're not actually able to adjust the bid on the term level, right? You can adjust it on the keyword level, but not on the customer search term level. So the keyword might look like it has 20 clicks, but all those 20 clicks are going to 20 different search terms potentially, right? So with the exact match type, you're able to adjust the bid much more precisely. And so that's why we recommend going ahead and just negating it out of those discovery or farming campaigns.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Mikhail Khan says, my question is related to Amazon. I want to update the generic brand name to a registered one, but I can't, or I don't want to lose my reviews. Is there any way? Sorry, that question is not related to PPC, but I'm confused.
No,
it's a good question.
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't have quite enough experience that I would be able to speak on this. I don't know if you've already tried to open a case with Amazon, but that's probably going to be your best bet. I don't know if you've already, brand registered and trademarked, your brand and gone through that process, but that's definitely going to be step one. But that's kind of all I've got on that. Kevin, I don't know if you might have anything else to say there.
Well, let's assume the brand is like the name of the brand isn't changing. It's just like it was non-registered. Now it is registered. That's just flipping a switch in the back end, assuming how they actually do it with the technology. They're probably just checking a box.
Yeah.
But let's assume you have to change the name brand. That could get a little messy. but generally speaking, reviews stay with the ASIN.
Right.
So if the ASIN is the same, and it's just the brand name associated to that ASIN has changed, that should not. Now, granted, there's always these weird situations that happen in the back end of the catalog, but it shouldn't make a difference with the reviews that you have. Now, they might split up parentages after that. Weird other stuff could happen, but the number of reviews for that particular ASIN should remain the same. I say should because, stuff happens sometimes.
Yeah, should is the operative word there for sure.
Yeah. All right. So Gregory says, hi, guys. I've launched a product and created a sponsor brand video. The bid is well above the recommended one, but Amazon doesn't want to show it. What might be the cause?
Okay, so you're having display issues essentially. So I'm assuming that you've kind of gone through the checklist of making sure that your product is not search suppressed and it's eligible for ads and all of that. Because if you are not getting any impressions at all, which is what it sounds like, then it might be the case that you have some other back end kind of issues going on. It's causing it not to be displayed. Now, if you are getting some impressions, then that means your ad is getting displayed, but if then you're not getting clicks, then that could be related to the relevancy of the keywords that you have in that sponsored brands video campaign. I'm not sure if you are targeting products or keywords or Amazon now offers like keywords related to your theme or related to your brand and that kind of thing. Very, very broad. But those would be kind of the things that I would kind of run down the checklist to see and in troubleshooting something like that.
Got it. So yeah, run down the checklist, but also it could just be like how relevant is this
video?
Is this video or this product to the keyword, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you'd want to check, is your listing search suppressed or not? If it's active, okay, move on to the next kind of, step in the flow chart. Is your product eligible for ads? Because sometimes it can be active but still not eligible for ads, like if it's adult or something like that. Exactly. If that's all good, you've got the little green eligibility tag in your campaign manager. Okay, then you're going to need to check, are you getting impressions at all? If not, then yes, it could be related to the relevancy of those keywords to your product, because Amazon, they want to always show products to customers that they think the customer will actually buy, and they want to make sure it's relevant. So if you're selling a blender and you're targeting the keyword iPhone, you're probably not going to get displayed.
Right.
It's not relevant at all. So those would kind of be the things that I would check.
No, good point. Yeah, you can bid all you want on iPhone just because there's a lot of searches, but that doesn't mean they're going to show it if you're selling a blender because it's not even close to related.
Right.
All right. Mikhail Khan says how to run campaigns for single products at a time for under $100 budget.
Okay, so I think that you're asking kind of what to do if you have a low.
Yeah, let's just assume you have
$100
daily budget for a product. How would you allocate it? I'm going to reshape the question.
Perfect. That's how I interpreted it as well. So I'm actually working on a post on how to run low budget campaigns, and how to think about budgets and how to think about, because you have to be really, really careful with $100 daily budget. Let's say you're in a niche where the average cost per click is $1. You're only getting 100 clicks a day. That's all that you can get, right? And then you're capped. So it's all about how to maximize each and every single click that you have. So really what it comes down to is making sure that you're targeting, it comes back to relevancy again, right? Making sure that you're targeting keywords that are highly relevant for your product. And if you have any historical data, targeting just those top keywords for your product and what has been proven to convert in the past. It doesn't necessarily, I mean, you can also reduce the number of campaigns for an ASIN as well. So maybe not doing discovery type of campaigns if you do already have some historical data, again, just to make sure that your budget isn't getting spread too thin across a lot of different keywords, a lot of different campaigns. That's another part of the strategy as well. But really thinking about, and I mean, if you're in a category where it's $2 average cost per click, then you're only going to get 50 clicks a day. Depending on your conversion rate, you might be maxing out at just a few conversions per day. So that's why, again, making sure every single click that you're getting is optimized to get as many conversions as possible. And the way to do that is, again, making sure you're targeting things that are really relevant and or have been successful for you in the past. And then as well as maybe focusing more on that exact match type rather than the other sort of keyword discovery match types, which would be the broad category targeting or auto campaigns, just because you're taking some calculated risk with those type of campaigns. You're placing a lot of little bets that might not always pay off, and with really low daily budgets, you want to make sure that those bets are going to pay off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So next up, Mikhail says, can we connect on LinkedIn, Kevin and Carly? So yeah, just at least for me,
Yeah,
let me know.
100%.
Oftentimes I get a lot of random LinkedIn, like even completely non-related to Amazon or e-commerce. Just say, hey, saw you on the live stream. I was at the live stream. And make it look like it's not one of those like, hi, I just wanted to connect, because I wanted to meet other people that are also fill in the blank modifier that, or, gets filled in automatically from a database. Make it look like you actually wrote it.
Yeah.
I guess Rob's long-windedly saying that.
Yeah. And I'm happy to connect. So feel free to send me an invite.
All right. So Serge asks, what happens if you pause the ad campaign? Will it perform the same after going live again?
Okay, so I'm assuming that you're pausing a campaign either for low performance or maybe because that item was out of stock or low stock and you wanted to kind of sell through organically whatever units you had left, kind of a thing. So let's talk about, let's say you paused it because it was out of stock. Now, there could be other things causing your campaign not to have the same performance as it was before. If you paused it because the item was out of stock and it was out of stock for a while and now it's back in stock, it can be difficult to recoup some of that rank if there were out of stock issues, just because Amazon does not like it when you go out of stock. So if that's the case, then it might not just be simply because you paused and re-enabled, but because it was out of stock. Now, if you paused it because of poor performance, maybe you were like, you know what, I don't want to keep spending on this while ACoS is so high. I'm just going to pause it and kind of nip that in the bud, rework some things, and now turn it back on. That should not affect performance. You might see there could be delays in data, but depending on what you've changed around, I guess, in the campaign, then you aren't going to see the same performance if you turn off a bunch of stuff that was getting impressions and things like that before. But yeah, so I guess I should say, if you pause it and everything is the same and you re-enable it, that should not affect things, because all the keywords and everything in there are the same. Although it could be if there are seasonal fluctuations in your cost per clicks and things like that, and like you turn on, you've had a campaign pause for an entire year and it's a seasonal campaign and you're just turning it on to capture these Q4 sales, let's say, then that could be different, because cost per clicks and things will vary throughout the year, and of course year to year as well. They're always basically increasing, so you might need to go and adjust your bids in order to see the same performance, say, as last year, for example.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have different competitors.
Absolutely.
The variables are not the same, and they don't stay the same for long.
Right. But just pausing it wouldn't hurt you exactly.
Right. Amazon wants you to spend money. We'll just say that.
Yeah, they'll take your money regardless.
Yes. All right. So Hale asks, hey, everyone, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on starting a PPC campaign. Do you think it's better to kick things off with exact match keywords, or should I consider incorporating broad and phrase match options as well? Looking forward to your suggestions. Based on your answers previously, I kind of know what direction you're going to go, but I'll let you say it.
Okay. Okay. So, it really depends on your budget. It depends on how aggressive you are willing to be with PPC, as well as if you have any historical data, if you've ever run campaigns for a similar product before, let's say. But if it's a brand new product, you've never run PPC before, you're starting completely from scratch, then I think that you are going to need to incorporate some of those broad or discovery, or what we call farming types of campaigns, in order to actually understand what customers are actually searching for when they purchase your product. If you just go in with exact match keywords, you're essentially making a bunch of guesses. Sometimes those guesses are going to pay off and sometimes they're not. And with the exact match, you're limited to the guesses that you've made. But with the, let's say, broad match type, you are still making some guesses with the keywords in your broad campaigns, but those should be again, calculated risk type of guesses where you're like, I'm pretty confident that this is going to convert, or at least some part of this term is going to convert for me. And with the broad match type, you can let the customers come to you and tell you what to search for. So starting off, I would, if you're starting completely from scratch, you've never run PPC before, as a brand new product, I would say starting off with the broad campaign and auto campaign, and then go ahead and set up your exact and product targeting campaigns as well, so that you can harvest anything out of those keyword discovery or farming campaigns once you are confident that they do work, and then negate them. But that's an extra step. But yeah, that would kind of be my starting from scratch. I've never done PPC before kind of a setup.
Gotcha. All right. So Lewis Wen asks, my inventory just got replenished and I'm trying to gain rank again. What would the PPC focus be to improve rank? Exact campaign for my proven keyword over phrase campaign, allocate percentage to which campaign?
Okay. Yeah. So this is what we
back
were
in
just
stock.
talking
Now what do
about.
I do?
Yeah. Yeah. This is what we are just talking about, how Amazon really doesn't like when you go out of stock. But you're definitely not alone. Amazon has been so slow to check in inventory this year. We've had so many clients kind of relying on Amazon to check things in by when they said they would, and they have not. So anyway, glad that you're replenished. That's good. So to gain rank again, you are basically, the way that you're going to be using PPC to gain rank is by getting as many conversions as possible. That's how PPC can help you to boost your rank. Basically showing Amazon, hey, customers love my product and they're buying it, right? So that can happen organically, but it can just take a really long time. And so PPC basically allows you to kind of buy those conversions and, again, show Amazon, I do indeed deserve to be ranked where I was before. And so wherever you were getting the most conversions before is where I would recommend you kind of focus your efforts. Now, utilizing, let's say, a phrase or a broad campaign can also be a good idea, because it allows your ad to be displayed on a wider variety of terms, right? So with the exact match campaign, again, you are matching, that customer has to type in exactly what you've input as a keyword into your campaign. If they're not, then you're not displaying there. So the phrase match or the broad match type, as well as an auto, which I would recommend you also run an auto in this situation, can also be a good way for you to ensure that you're being displayed across as many places at once, giving yourself kind of as many chances as possible to convert, if that makes sense.
Yes. So basically, you need to start getting conversions to get kind of back into the game,
Yeah,
but at least there's a history of it as opposed to starting from scratch.
exactly.
All right. Noman Arshad says, much excited to join you, hoping for a lot of knowledge. Well, I think Carly's been dropping quite a few knowledge bombs so far. So now back for more. All right. So Serge says, do you think it's a good decision to pause an ad campaign in any circumstances if you're running out of? Oh, yeah. So, all right. So let me rephrase this question. You're running low on inventory. This is a question that's also somewhat controversial, depending on, do you go out with a bang or do you slow down your PPC so that you can be more profitable on the way out?
Yeah. So if you're running low on inventory and you don't have a very precise date, which you almost never do, of when that inventory is going to be replenished,
and checked in.
And checked in, exactly. I recommend pausing PPC. Now, the way that PPC works, unless you're in some special Amazon fulfillment type of programs, it should not deliver if you are completely out of stock. But let's say you just have a few units left, and you're wondering whether you should pause PPC. I'd say yes, you should go ahead and sell through those units organically, because you're going to end up with more gross profit from not spending to get those sales that you probably would have gotten anyway. Now, where to draw that line, like where that threshold should be, is going to basically depend on the historical daily sales for your product. So if your daily sales rate, let's say, is 2 units a day, then you can then calculate how many days of cover essentially you have for that product. And you can see when you want to turn that PPC off if you're getting close to running out of stock. I think that is what I would recommend, just because you're going to end up with more money in your bank account, more profit essentially, by doing it that way, instead of spending on ads to get those sales that you were likely going to get anyway. Now, if it's out of budget, I don't think it makes sense to pause a campaign if it's running out of budget. You need to assess the the budget for a campaign. The way that we typically think about budgets is you don't want to be adjusting your ad spend with the budget. You want to be utilizing bids to adjust your spend, not budget. So if you feel like it's spending too much, or the budget is, get it like running out or something like that, then you need to adjust the bid and not just kind of blanket change the budget. Yeah, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, at the end of the day, your bid is where you have a lot more control than the budget as compared to like Facebook or Google Performance Max or something like that. All right. So next up, Zishan asks how to rank in a competitive niche if we have strong sourcing or we have our own manufacturing. Well, I think that comes down to, it doesn't really matter whether you are the manufacturer yourself or you're private labeling it, without having a price war with competitors.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the big advantage.
That's a good angle.
Yeah. So the big advantage to being, for having strong sourcing or having your own manufacturing is that you are able to, much more precisely control your profitability because you're able to control cost of goods and things like that. So that's great. And in terms of how to rank just in general in a very competitive niche, which I think is kind of the question without just dropping the price, it's good PPC. I do think it makes sense to maybe have a lower price than your kind of MSRP when you're first starting out. You do want to make sure you're priced competitively, but that doesn't mean that you need to necessarily like go into a price war. You need to make sure that you have that you're going to offer that value with the quality of your product as well, right? And so that's where good reviews and ratings and all that are just going to naturally come in. You got to do Vine Voice. That's the Amazon approved way of getting ratings and reviews out of the gate when you're launching a brand new product. And that kind of thing, and then of course good PPC on your targeted keywords. So that's a big question. There's a lot of things that go into having a solid product launch. I mean, that's all the way from market research and assessing that niche. Why are you going into this niche if it is competitive? What is your point of differentiation? Those are also questions that you want to answer. That's of course before you even get to the question of marketing and ranking and that kind of thing.
Got it. All right. So next up, Arzu Khan asks, is PPC considered singular or plural keyword as one or not?
Okay, yeah, so there's something called term normalization. So Amazon does normalize terms within PPC. So if it's singular or plural, it's the same keyword. You can go and verify this yourself by looking at your, customer search term report. And it's not only plurals, but it's also prepositions. So for and with and those kinds of things. Amazon is also normalizing those things. So for example, for us within our campaigns, we then normalize our own, we normalize our terms internally as well. So in all of our campaigns, everything is normalized. And that's just to, again, be as efficient as possible and not have things spread out with different historical performance and stuff like that, because Amazon is treating them as the same keyword, so we do as well.
Got it. So whether it's garlic press or garlic presses, it's the same keyword. But then if it's silver garlic press, silver garlic presses, they're their own keyword. And then garlic and garlic press and garlic presses are the same.
Yeah, exactly. And we have found some kind of weird anomalies. So for example, clothes is technically the plural of cloth, but we have found that those are, Amazon actually treats those differently. So we'll sometimes find like these weird things that Amazon isn't exactly following the rule one-to-one. And so we found, this example of cloth versus clothes, that they're kind of technically different nouns if you think about it. This was for like a clothes rack dryer, but a cloth rack dryer is, I don't know. So anyway, we were noticing that we were, even with an exact match, getting, non-normalized conversions in there as well. And so I don't know, you got to,
they're sneaking in other placements.
Yeah, so they have, I mean, essentially what Amazon has and what our software does as well is just have a database of all possible singular and plural variations of words. And then you can go in and manually adjust that. But yeah, sometimes there are weird things that kind of slip through the cracks, we've noticed.
Got it. All right. So next up, Hale asks, if a product has a 3.7 review rating, what improvements would enhance it? Should we launch a hot selling variation alongside it or consider other options?
Yeah, so a quick fix is like what you mentioned. If you do have a variation that has much better ratings and reviews, you can combine them if it makes sense to combine them as like parent-child sort of a situation. Then it will kind of aggregate the ratings and reviews, and that can be kind of a quick fix for this problem, or separating if that's the case, for you. But beyond that, sort of a long term, like if you don't have anything that's related, or anything that does have kind of a history of quality ratings and reviews, then you're going to need to go into those reviews and see what people are complaining about. Why are you getting low reviews? Is there something that you can do to actually improve your product? Maybe it's better instructions. Maybe it's, actually changing the material or the packaging of the product to avoid those low ratings and reviews and slowly build it back up. That's not a great place to be in because you already have those low ratings and reviews, and so it can be difficult to build that back up. But so yeah, looking at the ratings and reviews, why are people confused about how to use the product? Is something wrong with the product itself? Addressing those either at the product level or in your listing. You can also maybe there's a new image that you could come up with that might explain better how to use the product if people are confused about that, or marketing it in a different way if people are kind of using it for the wrong thing. That could be something to explore as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing I would add is, look at your return reports. What are people saying? Look in voice of the customer. What are people saying? Because I think to what Carly was saying, there could be things that need to be fixed with the product. They're not quick fixes. But the good news is the sooner you fix it, the sooner you go head in the right direction. 3.7 is not the end of the day, or is not the end of the world, I should say, because you're not that far away from 3.75 to at least show as 4 stars in a lot of cases. So, fix it and get more reviews and move on. And yeah, so that's my kind of 2 thoughts there.
Yeah, don't obsess about a 3.7. You'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to me. Like I have a product that I've had products that have had 1-star review and been fine. Eventually, over time, it's just when it gets that first
amazing.
Product comes, or the first review comes in, it's a 1-star, and you're like pulling your hair out, and then you're like, but then it happens.
Yes.
Don't like restart over just because sometimes people get it. Like, okay, it's not like there's 300 reviews and they're 1-star. Then people would be saying, okay, there's something wrong with this product. But if it's 1-star review, people kind of know, like, it's a new product. There's not a lot of data there. It will probably hurt your conversions, but it won't kill it.
Yeah. Well, and I think people understand that some people are going to write a bad review regardless. I mean, you've got Google Maps reviews on restaurants that it's 1-star because they didn't like the chair. It's nothing to do with the actual product. And I think people kind of understand that on Amazon as well.
Yeah. And we've all had, let's be honest, we've all had our 1-star days where we are like, you go somewhere and I'm sure it was probably fine, but we were just looking for everything nasty about it. We've all had those moods, even the best of us. All right. So no man, our shot, even whether or not we actually left a 1-star review is different.
True.
But all right. So no man, Arshad says, if 2 keywords are performing well and other or not, what should we do? So when do you decide whether to,
sorry.
Yeah. What to do? Do you need a moment here, Carly? You can just shake your head. No, you're good. Okay. All right. I've been there myself too. Sometimes when you're
of course, the one time I decided to drink water and okay. So you've got 2 keywords that are performing well and others that are not. I mean, then you're going to need to adjust accordingly, right? Now you have data on what works and what doesn't. So maybe it looks like increasing bids on those 2 keywords that are performing well and decreasing on those that are not is probably the way to go. Without more context, it's hard to say, but basically now you have data and information and you can react to it now.
Got it. All right. So next question is Mikhail Khan says, in which email will I contact you for the free course? As you say, I win because I was the first to mention. Oh, yes. So just throwing this out there for those of you who just joined us, we did a giveaway at the beginning. We'll do at least one more giveaway here at the end. because from time to time we reward participation. I don't even know who it's going to be just yet, but the next question I click on after this, I might do another giveaway here. But in this case, Mikhail had won. So I said, Mikhail, you can email podcast@myamazonguy.com. And we can always go back and check the replay to make sure that the right people are getting what they were promised. But you get a free mag school course for, it was $100 value. All right. So Grigory Lungu, email podcast@myamazonguy.com. And I'll also get you a free course. Everyone else who's probably thinking about emailing me, hold off. I didn't say this is for everybody. Stick around to the end. We'll do at least one more giveaway. But for Grigory, not a PPC question. How a competitor is allowed to hike the price from $19.99 to $25.99 and the next day back to $19.99. Shouldn't they lose the buy box?
Okay. I mean, so the buy box isn't always going to get lost when you do price adjustments, right? There's a lot of other factors that influence the buy box. So that's not going to be the only thing that Amazon is looking at when determining who's winning the buy box. It also is going to depend a lot on brand registry and these different kinds of things. So I'm not sure if this is like a reseller or something like that, then I could maybe understand a little bit more, but yeah, that's not the only factor. Kevin, is there anything else that you'd add there?
Yeah. I mean, I know this is a fear, and, there've been publicly people talk about, like, Tucker Carlson had a big story he did with like somebody who was like losing the buy box, and, it made it seem like it was this huge problem. I've not had problems with losing the buy box. I think it's somewhat of a black box. It definitely happens to people. I don't want to take that away, but like, if you go from $19.99 to $25.99, you're probably fine. I don't see that being an issue. If you went from $19.99 to $99.99, you will probably lose the buy box, because then they're like, well, this is kind of some weird pricing. And even if you went from $19.99 to $99.99, just slowly kind of incremented it, you'd probably be fine. So a $6 increase, I don't think they would worry about that, because at the end of the day, prices fluctuate all the time. They want you to lower prices. They want the customer to have a good experience. So why would they not reward that?
And they're also going to be looking at, historical pricing. So if that product of your competitors has maybe even been priced higher, like maybe they were at $39.99 before, then a jump from $19.99 to $25.99 isn't necessarily going to set off, a red flag for Amazon to lose the buy box. Now, our client, I mean, we have experienced buy box issues a lot. I mean, there are companies out there that their whole business model is to go and purchase products that are identical to those on Amazon and steal the buy box, these hijackers, right? So it's absolutely a thing. But I guess thinking on a little bit more, I'm guessing that probably what's happened is that $25.99, that jump between these two prices, isn't historically something that is sort of out of character for this competitor, I would guess.
Now, we did provide a little bit of background here. Listing is active and eligible for ads. I'm targeting the category and getting just little impressions. I'm assuming, based on that statement, that this is more concern about, like, they're the only seller and they're concerned Amazon takes away the buy box. So like you have to like click into the offers, and there's not like a, an add to cart button like on the listing, which is so weird when they do that. Because I think, but what Carly was describing, I think what you were saying, Carly, was that, like, if, let's say, you're a wholesale seller and you're competing for the buy box, in that case, I could foresee, like, if you raise your price by $6, you'll probably lose the buy box to the other seller, because you're no longer in the rotation. But in this case, if you're talking about a competitor who has their own product, a $6 change, I don't think is going to trigger losing the buy box. Because again, Amazon doesn't want to make this difficult for customers if they don't have to.
100%. And so I think that this is kind of a this to me feels like a separate question. Your listing is active, it's eligible for ads, you're doing a category targeting campaign and you're not getting very many impressions. So there's a few reasons why you might not be getting impressions. The main ones are your bid isn't high enough. So you can just kind of, a quick check is to check that against Amazon suggested bids. If you're outside that range, then your bid just might not be high enough. The category you're targeting, Amazon does not see as being relevant to your product, because again, then they're not going to display it. But it sounds like you are getting some impressions, so I'm going to guess that it's an issue with your bid maybe not being high enough.
Got it. And then also maybe try other keywords too.
Yeah, other categories.
Yeah. Because sometimes I find that, like, and you can tell me if you disagree, Carly, that people are like, get very much like, I have to go after this keyword because it has the most, search data. Whereas maybe it's not the right product for you, or for your product, because the other products have 10,000 reviews and you've got 50.
Yeah.
And, maybe Amazon would like to show something else. So if you go after longer tail keywords, you might have more opportunities.
Yeah. And, going after an entire category, like it sounds like you're doing, is always going to be, less granular. I mean, you can refine the category a little bit based on, price and star ratings and stuff of people you're competing against within the category. But you could also look into targeting a more narrow category as well if you do want to do a category targeting campaign.
Well, and that's a good point, because I guess that statement that he made is more related to product targeting ads. So good point. All right. April May says, I like that name.
Me too.
What is the best campaign structure for new products with low budgets? So you kind of expressed that earlier.
Yeah. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, and I've going to come out with a post on this soon, like what to do when you've got sort of just like a tight budget. You don't have a ton of money to spend on PPC, but you want to start giving your product a boost. So you're going to want to focus on not spreading that budget too thin. So I would recommend, first, in terms of campaign structure on the campaign level, I'm always going to recommend single ASIN, single ad group, single match type campaigns. And that's just so that you have really clean data and you're able to react to that data in a much more calculated way. And then beyond that, in terms of what campaigns to set up for the ASIN, if it's brand new, right, I'm going to suggest doing maybe a broad, an auto, an exact, and a product targeting campaign. The broad and the auto are for keyword discovery, and then the exact and the product targeting campaign are for harvesting anything that converts out of those discovery campaigns.
Got it. Okay. That was quick and succinct.
Yeah.
All right. EJ Kelly says, hi there. Is it to be assumed that there's more intent on the buyer's part when they click on an exact as opposed to a broad keyword?
Oh, okay, that's an interesting question. I don't think that we can assume that there is a different intent on a broad or an exact. I think that what you want, I guess technically you could. No, I don't think so. You can't necessarily assume that there's more intent on the type of keyword that is clicked. All that you're really going to be looking at the end of the day is the customer search term report. And so if the search term is the same, the intent is the same, right? In terms of like you're looking at the funnel of, customer intent to buy. A click is actually relatively low on that funnel, but it's not the lowest. It's not a full conversion, right? So, but it's pretty low on the funnel already. But I don't think that exact or broad, it wouldn't matter, or you wouldn't be able to determine the intent is any different. If the search term is exactly the same.
Well, yeah, and I think it just comes down to, as the seller, you have more control over which intents you're showing up for. So if you have exact match for Phillips screwdriver, whatever size this is.
Oh, you have a
I just
the real
on my I'm like, what do I have on my desk? I can use as an example here. Oftentimes I use markers as an example, but I don't think I have a marker that I see handy. So anyway, but if you go after screwdriver set versus Phillips screwdriver set, you're going to get different intents, because maybe they just want Phillips, because of the shape of the screw head, versus maybe it comes with standard, or maybe it has hex, or some other size. So their intent might be different if you're just going after, let's say, screwdriver set, or let's say 6-piece screwdriver set versus screwdriver set or something, and whether or not it's exact match or not, what else might show up? Maybe that's not a great example, but
No, I think that's a good point, because I think that maybe what EJ was kind of getting at here wasn't necessarily the match type, but
Mhm.
how long tail or short tail the keyword is.
Exactly.
And that I think that you are able to tell a little bit more about the intent of the buyer. So for example, if it is broad or more short tail, then the intent might be like it might be more top of funnel, basically, if you're just bidding on tool, let's say. But then as you start to get more long tail, that's when you're more bottom of funnel. So if it's like Phillips head screwdriver, 10-inch or something, I don't know.
Right, exactly. Number 10 screwdriver,
Yeah.
or it might show up for completely different type of keywords
Yes.
than just what would show up for an exact. So you have less control, and you're more likely to show up for other things that could be different search intents. So yeah, so all good points there. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, Fatima says, I was out of stock for almost 8 months. Oof. Now I'm running PPC. Is it good going? It is going good. So that's good.
Okay.
But there's always a but. My product will rank and don't go up from a specific position. It's stuck on 12 or 13. I'm assuming in search term, or sorry, in a search
On the
engine
first
results
page.
page.
Yeah, on the first page. Yeah, so a couple things can be happening here. 8 months is a really long time. Depending on your product, it could be the case that there are new competitors coming in, and that your competitors, I mean, if they were in stock while you weren't and getting lots more ratings and reviews than you are, or that you currently have, then that has dropped you to 12 or 13, and 12 or 13 might in fact be sort of the deserved rank that you are at right now after being out of stock for 8 months. And so it is unfortunately not just a silver bullet to keep dumping money into PPC and expecting to rank higher. You might be at 12 or 13 for a while until you are able to do something to change that, whether that's improving your you know SEO, your images, or kind of unfortunately just waiting until you get more and better ratings and reviews, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, definitely. And a couple of things to keep in mind is other people could have been doing things with their SEO that maybe they hadn't
Yeah.
done before. So,
Mhm.
if this, so whenever we talk about like, I'm ranked 12 or 13, it's for a particular keyword,
Yes,
because you're not
correct.
like in general, if you're 12 or 13 in your entire category, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations to you.
you're crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally crushing it. But we're assuming this is for a keyword. So a couple things you could do is that keyword, should it go into your backend search terms? Do you have it in crawlable text in your A+ content? Do you have it in your product description? Do you have it in a bullet point? Do you have it in alt text of at least one image of your A+ content? And if it's not all the above, find ways to incorporate that. Now, you don't want to just keyword stuff to death, like especially if it's something people are reading. But as Stephen likes to say, pictures are for people, the words are for the bots. So are you giving the bots enough belief that like you are relevant for whatever that particular word is, that you're ranking 12 or 13, that you're hoping to get to like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 or something like that. So little things like that could help you.
No,
So you're
very good
not
point.
just increasing your bid in PPC and hoping and praying for the best.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I mean, if it's a specific phrase, I've often found that putting the keyword in exactly that order is also helpful in kind of, again, telling Amazon and telling the bots like what your product is relevant for. Also, put that baby in the title. I mean, that's
Oh yeah, close to the
that's
front of the
yep,
title.
yep, that can
If
help.
you can get away with not putting your brand in the beginning, sometimes that can
Mm-hmm.
help too.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon might still add your brand to the beginning, and they do
Yeah,
it, and I
that's fun.
sometimes don't fully understand why with some and others not. So anyway,
Mm.
all right. So we are running low on time. We probably have time for one more question before we do a giveaway.
Okay.
So nobody leave yet, because we're going to do a giveaway of some sort. We got lots of good questions here. So, all right, here's a good controversial question.
Ooh.
How many keywords do you put in each ad group? I'm working with someone and they're advising to isolate each keyword.
Okay, I'm assuming single keyword campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is controversial, as Kevin said, and there's definitely, I think, good points on
Tears
both.
could be shed because of this
Yeah,
answer.
blood as well.
Blood.
Yeah, I think there's good points on both sides for this. Honestly, it really depends on your budget, your strategy, and your product. For some products, there just aren't that many ways that people are going to be describing that thing, and it can make sense to have then fewer keywords in each ad group. But on the other hand, I think for the majority of products, it makes sense to kind of have as many shots on goal as possible. So this is going to sound probably pretty crazy, but in some of our broad campaigns, we will max out the number of keywords you can have in an ad group, which is 1,000, in case you didn't know. So I know that people think that's crazy, but there is generally kind of an 80-20 rule that will happen, and not all of those 1,000 are going to get, even impressions, because search volume is just relatively low. But you end up, like I said, kind of finding those weird long tail keywords because you just cast your net so wide, and that kind of thing. Now, when it comes to, on the other side though, single keyword campaigns, I don't necessarily recommend single keyword campaigns. While it does, of course, give you more control on your budget, right? Because you can't control your budget for an individual keyword if you have multiple keywords in a campaign. The budget is spread out. This is supplement, and you just launched. Okay, that makes sense. So in that case, because the cost per clicks are going to be very, very high, almost guaranteed, because you're in a supplement category, then you might be sort of doubling down on some very specific keywords. And the more long tail keywords for supplements tend to just have really low search volume. You're going to see such a concentration of search volume in supplements on just like the exact thing that supplement is.
Right. Chocolate protein powder or something like
exactly.
that.
Like that's where the majority of your spend is going to go. In this case, I actually think that it might make sense to try single keyword campaigns, because one, you're not going to have that many, and two, you're going to be able to really get granular with your budget, because you're not going to be able to control your budget on the keyword level if you have multiple keywords in a campaign. So it could make sense in this case, but this is kind of a special case. Supplements are their own kind of beast. For cold source. Okay. See, this information all is very helpful. Okay, so if you're for like something like a protein powder or like a vitamin C or something like that, yeah, okay, very specific. But I actually think that for cold sores, people are going to be searching for this in weird ways, like bump on my lip, cold sore. I don't know, just like all kinds of
cold sore for lip.
lots of different ways. So in that case, you're likely, from your discovery campaigns, you're likely going to end up with lots of conversions on a large variety of search terms, and so that is going to make it just basically unwieldy when you have single keyword campaigns, because you're going to end up with thousands of campaigns, and it makes it very difficult then to basically make adjustments, even if you're using a software. It's difficult to make adjustments on bids. It's difficult to make adjustments on budgets. It's also difficult then to kind of have control and insight into your data with single keyword campaigns when you have so many of them. So for something like a vitamin C or a protein powder, it might make sense. Something like cold sores, again, where you're having all these kind of weird long tail ways people are going to search for it, then okay, 20 keywords in individual ad groups with $30 in spend.
And are these all the same campaign?
I would assume they're the same campaign with different ad groups within that campaign. So that 20 keywords and $30 spend, that $30 spend is now getting spread very, very thin. Very likely it's all going to one of your keywords in one of your ad groups, I would imagine, whichever one has the highest search volume, essentially. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be very slow. Your progress is going to be very slow with that low of ad spend on that many keywords in a single campaign.
Oh, they're different campaigns. Okay, yeah. So you have campaigns and then you have ad groups.
Yep.
And I don't know if Carly agrees with me on this, but generally speaking, over the years, people tend to stay one ad group per campaign because you start losing some control. So what's the point of having ad groups?
Yeah.
That could be another controversial topic where feelings could be hurt and
I'm with you on that.
Enemies made. But generally speaking, people keep it to one ad group per campaign. But But my general thought is when creating lots and lots of campaigns is that don't build yourself a prison that you have to administer later on. Now you have someone doing it for you now. And when you're talking about very specific, maybe you do want more granular control. But when you start finding some of those longer tail keywords that maybe get one sale every 3 months, like they don't need their own keyword or their own campaign. They could be mixed together.
Yeah.
And there could be lots of them in one campaign because they're probably not spending a lot. They're probably getting 3 clicks a month, which equates to one sale every, 4 sales a year or something like that. So my thoughts.
No, yeah. So maybe separate some of your top keywords into their own campaigns if you do want to have that level of control, but otherwise probably not necessary. And with that little spend, yeah.
All right. Do you have a hard stop at the top of the hour?
I'm good to go. No, I'm good.
All right. Well, we're going to end this out, but Carly's going to help me give away a $500 giveaway. So we're going to give away a bundle of 5 of our courses. So it'll be the SEO course, the PPC course, the catalog course, the reviving sales on Amazon course, and the design course. I was like, there's a 5th one in there. So it's $500 in total value because it's $500 courses bundled together. And let's do BFCM just to celebrate the fact that the holidays are coming soon, that it's almost Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if you would like to be entered to win, put in BFCM into the chat. And you got to do it quickly because we're going to pick a winner here soon. And you will be entered to win that $500 giveaway of 5 mag school courses. So all you got to do is type in BFCM, which stands for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, in case you're new to this game and you're not quite into all the lingo, all the slang, all the terminology. So we got people entering from both LinkedIn and YouTube, which is good. 1 entry per person. So if you're watching on multiple platforms or you just decide to enter more than once, we will count once. So once. All right. So, and we got people joining us from Facebook with that as well. All right. So let me just double check here. So we have, and what always happens is we have at best half the people who are watching live will actually enter. So you always give yourself a good chance. Now we're going to be doing last call here in a minute. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't think I saw any.
Were 10 and 12 the same?
10 and 12. All right, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, yes, you're right.
Okay.
So let's say 14. Oh, now we have 15.
Nice.
So we're going to close this out. So this is the last call. So if you'd like to be entered to win one, which thank you, Carly, for catching that.
No worries.
We have another one, 16. So, all right. So this is it. Going once, going twice. Carly, I'm going to ask you 2 questions here.
Okay.
1 through 16.
Just pick a random number.
Pick a random number.
I like the number 3.
3. Okay. Going up or going down?
Up.
Okay. So I'm going to go from the bottom up. So the most recent. So 1, 2, 3. So Gul Reyes, congratulations. Email podcast@myamazonguy.com. Let me know you won the 5-course bundle and you will win, or you will be given access to that for free. It's a $500 value if you were to buy each of those courses separately. Although I think we sell it for a little bit less than that if you bundle it all together, but you're not paying anything. So it's free. So congratulations. And then Carly, again, for people that want to learn more, follow you, where should they go?
Yeah, so you can go to ppcfarm.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Carly McMillen, McMillen.
Awesome. We'll definitely recommend folks check you out, both on LinkedIn as well as heading over to your website there, ppcfarm.com, which you see we've got scrolling down through there. And April says, OMG, haha, congrats. I'm too close. Actually, no, April, because we went, you would have been close going down, but we went up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yes. So that's why I threw it off there. So
Yes.
yes, I didn't just go from the top down from the oldest to the, so anyway, with that, you never know what curveballs we're going to throw here. And thank you again to our guests. And we did have some good feedback there. Thank you. More live tips soon. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This person here is basically doing our PR for us. So
Yeah.
yes, more tips coming soon. Next week, we will not be doing this live stream because we will be doing a live webinar around the same time about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So in the meantime, check out Carly's information and all that fun stuff. We got people starting to enter now. Sorry, you must be on a delay. But with that, thank you, everybody. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks.